It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels. Hello, guys. Hello. Hello. You hear me alright? I feel like I've got too many sources in OBS. I'm trying to work out what the hell's going on. Cool. What's happening? Sunday night can mean only one thing. Blood Angels Army lists. If you're new to the channel, then the way this works is you can submit your lists just in the YouTube comments. So basically, any one of my YouTube videos, you just submit your whole list like you would from export from the Battlescribe, export from the Warhammer app on your phone. Export your list, just dump it in a YouTube comment, and just, if you could write 2 sentences about the list as well, saying this is the plan, maybe these are the characters that are attached to, great. If you can't be bothered to write 2 sentences, I guess I'll review it, but the review won't be quite as high quality. Like, it can be more high quality if you give me a little bit more information. I don't need much to go on. And I try and review them every week, but I'm not always here every week, I guess. I got family, got commitments. I try and be here reasonably frequently. But good evening to everyone in chat. You see a few of the usual suspects here tonight, right? We've got Mike in the house, Dark Ginger, Andonius, Fox, Reziel, Kevin. What is happening, everybody? I want to say thank you as well to yesterday's painting stream. Was an awesome stream. One of the best streams that I've done in a while. We get like so many gifted subs, super chats. I've got like 70 new channel members like since yesterday. I think Auspex Tactics giving me a shout out really helped. So if you're new here from Auspex Tactics, welcome, welcome, welcome. Chrono saying what's happening, Quicks what's happening. Everyone that is a member, remember you guys get free super chat. So use it if you ever need to grab my attention. You just click the little dollar sign next to the chat, and as a member you get 1 free super chat every month. Cool perk for being a member, right? So we're going to get fired into the list tonight. I know we've got a Gladius one. I saw that we've got a Firestorm. I'm going to have to remember that. I might actually need to grab my codex. I'll see if I need to grab it. And do you know, if you haven't been using Wapedia, the website Wapedia, how you spell that, let me show you this. If you haven't been using Wapedia, it is like fully updated for 10th edition now. So it's like a Russian website, W-A-H-A, pedia.ru. You just go into Warhammer 40k 10th edition, you go into your faction, Blood Angels, whatever, and then click data sheets. So everything is now updated in Wapedia. So if you need to get rules for a faction you don't have or you haven't bought the codex, you can get it there. Soviet Comrade, new member in the new channel viewer in the house. Hello. I guess you know about Wapedia, being that this is a Russian website. Welcome. EXO, welcome. Hey folk, welcome. Nice, lots of people showing up tonight. How are you all? So yes, and tomorrow night I'm starting filming the tier lists for 10th edition. So I was getting all the images ready earlier today. I've got them all in this infantry tier list folder. Look at all this. So tomorrow night we're going to be starting filming all the tier lists. We're starting with basically almost like Tacticus Marines, I guess. And maybe a few Primaris, basically infantry on foot. We're going to start filming that tomorrow. So hopefully that should be out Friday. I guess we'll see how it goes. Eternal Crusader has just joined the Blood Angels ranks, and he's painting Dante, who's almost his first model. It snagged on his sleeve, it fell, and he snapped off his pillar. Well, I mean, Dante doesn't... Tactical rocks are always like here or there. Just glue them back on the base. Some people actually don't like the tactical rocks that they ship the new models with, right? Like some people actually hate them. But yeah, I mean, you could pin it, or you could just throw them on the base. Has anyone seen Tactical Marines in a list this year? That's a very good question, Eric. And that's why I said in my email to Games Workshop this week that all the characters that can only attach to Tactical Marines are kind of worthless, because I don't think I've seen a single Blood Angels player play Tactical Marines. I think I've seen like 2 Devastator squads, maybe. But I haven't seen any Tactical Marines, I feel like. And surprisingly, I don't think we've seen many Hellblasters. I thought I might see more Hellblasters than I've seen. Okay, the first list for tonight's show is Zacharis Wade III, and he's playing Vanguard. Okay, so we've got Vanguard, Gladius, and Firestorm, so a good array of lists tonight. I've seen people use the 65-point Black Templar version of the Tactical Marines, but they're 65 points for 5, not 160 for 10. Oh yeah, because you can't even take Tactical Marines in size of 5s anymore, can you? Wow, okay, yeah, no one's, like, I was thinking no one's included 5-man tactical squads. It's very sad, but let's face it, bolters are guard... I was making this argument a few weeks ago, saying that, like, Terminators I don't think are a good unit anymore, because Storm Bolters don't really kill anything. And bolters are even worse than Storm Bolters. Bolt rifles are okay. Heavy bolt rifles are kind of okay. The advantage to the bolt rifles, though, is that they're heavy and assault, which is much better, I think. So it stands still and get +1 to hit, and they're 2 shots anyway. Or it's advance and still shoot, which is also good for performing actions, right? Okay, so this first list, this is a Vanguard list. We've got Captain in Phobos armor with the Ghostweave cloak. That's like the enhancement that makes him essentially like lone operative style. We've got Librarius in Phobos armor. We've got 2 of them. Sorry, we've got 1 Librarian in Phobos armor. Then we've got 2 Lieutenants in Phobos armor. And they're like the tyrannic post... what am I trying to say? They're the tyrannic war veteran from the Leviathan box. So you get to pick an objective. Oh, you don't get to pick an objective. I'm getting confused. Sorry. This guy just gives a unit lethal hits, and it gives you the ability to move after shooting. D6. Okay, I'm not sure. I guess they're going to be attached to something for the Vanguard list. They can attach to Incursors, Infiltrators, or Reavers. We've got the Sangari Priest with the Jump Pack and the Blade Driven Deep. That lets the unit that he's attached to start as in an infiltrated position. We then have 2 squads of Eliminators, 2 squads of Incursors, a 10-man unit of Infiltrators. I don't see really any advantage to taking them in a 10 over taking 2 5s. What would be the advantage of taking them in a 10 over 2 5s? Is there any? I need you to help me out in chat. Is there any advantage to taking a 10-man infiltration squad? Because I feel like if you were going to use them for screening, the ability to have two 5s will let you screen more, because you'll be able to daisy chain them out more, because 5-man units don't suffer from coherency the same as 10-man units, right? And then you could also deny 2 corners because you can split them up. I mean, I'm not asking if there's a difference between 2... Yeah. Is there any advantage to 110 over 2 5s, though? I don't think there is. Do you know what? I haven't played Infiltrators. Let me just look at their data sheet. I feel like I used Infiltrators all the time last edition, and I do think that they're still strong, but they have a 6-up Feel No Pain ability. When you target them on a 5-up, you can save a CP. I guess about the only advantage is that you could use Armor of Contempt on them. Maybe. And you might save the CP. I think I'd rather have 2 5s. Because the thing about Infiltrators is they obviously have an infiltration move. So you can set them up in 2 sides of the battlefield on 2 different objectives. They're not vulnerable to blast the same way 10-man is vulnerable. I'm not entirely sure what the advantage of 1 10-man over 2 5-man is. We've got 2 tactical war suits, 3 tactical war suits, sorry. And then 2 hammer strikes and a thunder strike. Oh my G. It's like all the units that I don't use. And then 10 Vanguard veterans, which will be your jump unit attached to the Sanguinary Priest. So in principle, I actually don't really like the Vanguard veterans attached to the Sanguinary Priest, and it's not because I don't think their infiltration is good. I just think that they're going to struggle to do a ton of damage, right? Because, yes, they're minus 2 AP, they're strength 5, and I think that's the thing that worries me, is like, you're going to have to consistently pay command points on that Vanguard veteran squad to make them do damage. But here's the thing, in the Vanguard attachment, there is no stratagem that improves melee damage. So basically what you've got is I think Vanguard veterans get 4 attacks. So you're going to have 40 strength 5 minus 2 1 damage hits. But there's no way to give them anything beyond, I believe Vanguard veterans get lethal hits, right? So you've got lethal hits, and that's it. So you've got no rerolls to hit. You've got no way of getting like lance on them because that doesn't exist in the Vanguard attachment. So you just have probably like 26 hits, give or take, and then you probably make like 6 lethal hits with these guys if you're lucky. DTM says the advantage of using large units is either a leader buff or the stratagem. Yeah, I mean, okay, so maybe they're going to attach a leader to those units, but I'm not sure I feel like any of these leaders are going to... I mean, okay, yeah, so maybe you're going to attach the Librarian and Phobos Armor to your 10-man of Infiltrators, so you have a 4-up in Van on Infiltrators, but I feel like Infiltrators don't really do that much damage. Do they need a 4-up in Van? Should they not be hiding in cover, providing the Deep Strike? I mean, with lethal, they might be okay, Andonius, but I don't think it's enough, right? Oh, YPD has just died on me. So, like, Vanguard veterans, like I said, they get 4 attacks each. So let's assume by some miracle every single attack hits. You've got 40 attacks. Out of 40 attacks, how many 6s are you realistically going to roll? Like, statistically, 6 or 7. So the enemy's going to have to take 6, and then your wound rolls are probably going to be 5s or 6s. So you're talking like 10 minus 2 saves, and only 1 damage each. I don't feel like that's enough damage output for the Vanguard veterans, and I think that's probably a weakness of the Vanguard attachment. In my opinion, I'm going to have to look at the Hammer Strike, because I don't run a Hammer Strike, and I'll have to look at the Tactical Warsuit again, because this is the Tactical Warsuit with the autocannon. So 3 tactical warsuits with autocannons. These are all units I don't run. I guess the Vanguard attachment is a little bit different. So tactical warsuit and the Hammer Strike. The Hammer Strike says each time this... No, that's not the Hammer Strike, sorry. Yeah, the tactical warsuit lets you shoot back if a Phobos unit within 6 is targeted. Once per turn. The autocannon is... It's only 3 shots. Strength 9 minus 1, 3 damage. So that's not great. It's got a heavy bolter. It's got a twin stubber. It's got a fairly decent fist, I guess. And the Hammer Strike... I'm gonna have to wait for this damn thing to load. I'm not a huge fan of tactical warsuits, honestly. I was going to say, what's good about them is they get an 8-inch scout move, they move 8, they get 12 wounds, they get 3 up save, they got toughness 8 for 140 points. I mean, if you compare them to an Armiger, which is like 145, 150 points, the Armiger is going to have like 2 more toughness, 4 more movement, the same save, double the OC, a better invulnerable save, obviously, and possibly like a lot better guns as well. Maybe the fist, the strength 14 minus 2, 3 damage fist is is what the tactical warsuits have going for them, but it's not amazing, right? They're great at tank shock. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I'll accept that. Yeah, strength 14 is kind of almost a guaranteed 6 mortal wounds when you tank shock, right? Because you would be rolling 16 dice.
I have awoken.
Way, DTM became a member. Thanks, AFOC, for donating the gifted sub. There we go. DTM's back in the members only room. I mean, it benefits everyone having DTM in the members only room on Discord because he answers everybody's questions about all the different rules, right? Welcome back, DTM. Congrats. He was always going to... The way it works is the more you speak in chat, the more likely you are to get the gifted memberships. That's how it works. Yeah, I was going to say, is tank shock worth 140 points? The Invictor tactical warsuit's going to get across the battlefield with 8 toughness 8, 12 wounds. Toughness 8 is kind of horrific, right? Because if we often talk about Malta not being good anymore. Well, Malta's pretty good into toughness 8 because it's usually strength 9 and it's usually -4. So tactical warsuits get no save against Malta guns. Miles says he feels victimized for not speaking. Good evening, Miles. We need to get a game soon, Miles. Got a new list. It crushed Colin on Wednesday night. So the hammer strike says each time this model is shot, select one enemy that was hit by one or more of its attacks. Until the end of that phase, the enemy cannot benefit for cover. Okay, so the hammer strike is the one that's got like a 3-shot multi-melta on it. A 1-shot crack missile that only does D3. And then a 2-shot -3 strength 9. It's a bit yuck, the hammer strike, honestly, that all its weapons are strength 9. Puts it in a weird place where it's like, can kill rhinos pretty effectively. Like, you kill Invictor warsuits pretty effectively. But, doesn't do much. Like, it feels like it should be anti-tank, the hammer strike. But it's not. But, I mean, if you look at the picture of it, if a picture comes up of the hammer strike, it's going to be the one... Oh, there, look, there's my thumbnail with the hammer strike in it. It's the one that's got all the missiles and the the big Melta array, or the heavy Melta destroyer, I think it's called. Is it called the heavy Melta destroyer? No, they just called it a Melta destroyer. But, like, it's not really got the strength to be a destroyer. It's just a standard Melta. It's no strength 12 Knight Melta, is it? With Melta 4 or anything like that. Yeah, so I was going to say, there's a lot of things in this list that... So we can ignore cover with a couple of units. We can get +1 to wound against monsters and vehicles. I guess the Thunder Strike gives us that, which in some cases, I suppose, makes the Hammer Strike a little bit more deadly. Oh, Zacharias is in the chat. The Invictors... I don't know if I feel like the firepower for the Invictors is worth it, man. And I don't think that their survivability feels good enough either to justify like 480 points on them. Like if you're looking... Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for tank shock, I feel like there's better things that can do tank shock, probably. And if you're looking for shooting, then again, I think there's better things that can do shooting as well. I don't see tactical warsuits in many competitive lists. I don't see hammer strikes in many competitive lists either. To be fair, we don't really see the Thunder Strike in any competitive lists, but I actually do think the Thunder Strike's really good. Double Incursors, double Eliminators, I guess they're for scoring. You'd almost swap out one of the squads of Eliminators for a squad of Scouts these days. You've got the Captain and Phobos. I guess attached a squad of Eliminators to do some shenanigans there. Yeah, I mean, I think you've got good screening. You've got the ability to move a bunch of units around. You've got the Vanguard attachment, which lets you pick up and put down Phobos units every turn. You've got a bunch of Phobos units. The tactical warsuits, I guess, I was going to say take them or leave them. I guess it makes sense to take them probably because they've got Phobos and you can pick them up and put them back in. I don't think you get much advantage out of their combat support ability because I think most people are wise to how that worked. William says that Invictor isn't necessarily bad, it's just competing with much better vehicles at the same points bracket. Yeah, I've never bought one. I've tried proxying them a couple of times because they're in the same size base as a Redemptor Dreadnought, right? But I've just never gone for them. Yeah, so we do have redeploy shenanigans with the Invictors, that's for sure. Also, have I missed in chat anything? Crispy Delicious says it's hard to see that the Warsuit is viable when you've got Ballistuses on the same points. Is the Ballistus is the exact same number of points now. I mean, yeah, I guess if they do different things though. The Warsuit's a bit more of a jack of all trades or a jack of anti-infantry type thing, whereas the Ballistus obviously going to be anti-tank. Yeah. Yeah, I find it hard to make a judgment call on the tactical Warsuits because I've never played them. But every time I've looked at... I've played them once last edition and I proxied it and I felt it was underwhelming. So, looking at his profile, I feel like it's a bit underwhelming, but it's hard to say, I suppose. -2 in the... -2 in melee feels kind of low as well, but I guess all our melee is kind of low AP at the moment, so there's not much we can do about that. Okay, so this is like a fast-moving shenanigans type list with hopefully the Thunderstrike buffing stuff with +1 to wound against monsters and vehicles. The Invictors and the Hammer Strike using that to get the maximum advantage, a lot of screening, a lot of moving around, a bunch of redeploying, and then 10 jump Vanguard veterans where they can be where they need to be. Yeah. I don't know. I see the Vanguard detachment and I see it as a good detachment. I just don't know if it really synergizes as well as with Blood Angels as people think it does. I think it synergizes with shooting lists. It's just a little bit annoying there's no way to buff melee combat in that Vanguard detachment. I suppose the whole army would have cover if you're more than 12 inches away. The whole army would be -1 to hit as well. That would definitely help in protecting those speeders and stuff like that. And then obviously there's the good stratagem that they've got where if they're more than 12 inches away, they can get +1 to hit for shooting and +1 to AP. So yeah, maybe if you're using your... Yeah, maybe if you're in that Vanguard detachment, it's not bad. Do you reckon a captain is a must with Vanguard vets? No, I just think if you're wanting to run Vanguard vets more, you probably need them in a detachment where you can give them like, what is it called, Lance? Which is essentially +1 to wound. Because if they don't have +1 to wound, the strength they're hitting on is pretty low, right? Like it's basically strength 5, 6, or 7 Vanguard detachment. Vanguard vets are. They're either 5 base, or they're 6 if they're attached to a captain, or they're 7 if they're in the Sons of Sanguinius detachment and attached to a captain. And that's your lot. And strength 7 is going to mean that you're going to fight a lot of stuff where you wound on 5s. And if you start wounding on 5s with their melee units, you're going to do no damage and then just bounce off the enemy and get crushed. Can Vanguard vets run with a jump chaplain? I don't believe so. The chaplain cannot attach to Vanguard vets. But we've got a problem at the moment where Games Workshop have just kind of been lazy and not updated. Oh no, you can, sorry. Vanguard vets can attach to a chaplain. Huh, okay. A lot of people pair them with the Sanguinary Priests. Oh, so maybe you could make that work. That would help a lot, in my opinion. I'd probably say that I would prefer running a chaplain over the Sanguinary Priest. Just because otherwise your rune rolls are just really bad. The chaplain obviously does mortals 50% of the time when you fight as well, which are not bad. But yeah, maybe that was a change. Maybe originally the chaplain couldn't attach, and maybe they changed it with Codex Space Marines. I'm not entirely sure. Invindicator Warsuits have the highest strength melee in the entire book. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they've got more strength than the Redemptor Dreadnoughts. But you're right, they do. They're very... or even the Brutalis Dreadnoughts as well. It's weird that they have the highest strength and they have such low AP, right? Because, like, Angron is, like, strength 17, but his AP is, like, -5 or some nonsense. For some reason, Space Marines didn't get the AP treatment that some of the other factions got. Okay. I think that's this list. Anyone have suggestions on what they think that they should change in this list? I feel like you probably want a little bit of anti-tank. And I think you could probably do that by, like, add a Ballistus Dreadnought, or, you know, like, what would be the issue with having, like, one less Hammer Strike and one more Ballistus Dreadnought, or one less Tactical Warsuit and one more Ballistus Dreadnought? I also wonder if I mean, like, do we need 2 lieutenants there? There's something we could... And also, I'm not sure about 2 squads of eliminators. Like, could we have a squad of scouts and lose 1 lieutenant? Then you've got, like, another 100 in... Lose a squad of scouts and a lieutenant. Well, you've got, like, 75 more points to play with. Is there options to do something there? That could also be that chaplain attaching to that. Yeah, so, like, you could attach... I'd probably do that. I'd probably lose 1 squad of eliminators. I'd probably lose 1 of these lieutenants. I'd add in a squad of scouts. I'd add in a chaplain with a jump pack. I'd attach the chaplain jump pack with the Vanguard vet. Suddenly the Vanguard vets now seem like a lot more scary. Now it's strength 5 -2 with lethal hits and +1 to wound. So now that unit can actually do quite a good bit of damage, I feel like. And also that unit doesn't need any CP spent on it, which is always a thing, right? Like, you don't want to be burning too many CP on individual units. So that's my thoughts on the Vanguard. Angron is 400 points, to be fair. Ugh, you gotta correct me. Angron is 400 points. But hey, Chaos Knights are like 145 points. Hey, and their meltas are -5, melta 4 DTM. How do you explain that? Because that's fucking ridiculous, honestly. Space Marines getting hit with strength 12, melta 4, -5. I was like, oh my god, what a joke this is. Okay. Next up, we got a list from John. This is a Gladius 2024 list. He's like a month early because it's still 2023. Ignore the bad dad jokes. Okay, we're looking at... This is a list... Oh, this list he's preparing for next year. We'll let him off. Okay. So, the Biologists with Fire Discipline, we assume they'll be attached to Aggressors or Hellblasters. There is an Aggressor squad here. We've got a Blade Guard Ancient. I don't think I've seen anyone run that. We've got a Captain. Mastercrafted power weapon in the Relic Shield. He's potentially going to be attached to the Blade Guard as well. What is beeping? Is this my phone or something? Disconnecting and reconnecting. Oh, I think it might be my headphones. I've got my headphones on charge. Oh, that's probably what it is. Okay. We've got Lieutenant with the Plasma Pistol and the Power Fist. It's a strange loadout for Lieutenant. We haven't seen that too much. We've got 6 Blade Guard. A Ball Predator with a Firestorm turret and 2 Heavy Flamers. Eliminator Squad, Eradicator Squad ×2. Hellblaster ×1. Tactical Warsuit ×1. Land Raider, regular Land Raider. We've also got a Redeemer here. We've got Librarian Dreadnought with the Bloodlance Furioso Fist Melta Gun. We've got the Captain, Lieutenant, and Blade Guard Ancient attached to 6 Blade Guard in the Land Raider. Okay, so we're going hard on this Blade Guard. A Captain, a Lieutenant, the Blade Guard Ancient, and then 6 Blade Guard. The Apothecary Biologist attached to the 6 Aggressors in the Redeemer. That makes sense, because any more than 7 and you wouldn't fit inside the Redeemer. 6 Eradicators and 5 Hellblasters to be teleported by the Librarian Dreadnought, aiming to get Eradicators into half range, stolen your idea of 2×3. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's easier to get them in half range if they're inside a transport than teleporting them, because teleporting them, you're going to teleport them 9 inches away, and then they're going to get probably shot and killed. Eliminators have strength 9 las fusils with -4 AP if it's 6 inches up high in terrain, guarded by Invictor's free shooting special ability, and the strength 14 tac shock on the charge. Okay, and the Ball Predator is just going to go about its business. Can can you put 3 characters in a unit if if it specifically says that it's fine, like the Blade Guard Ancient can be we'll just look at the Blade Guard Ancient's profile for 1 second. But yes, you can put 3 characters in the unit as long as they have this weird paragraph that says like you can attach this model even if the model already has a chapter master or lieutenant, has already been attached. If you do, the bodyguard unit is destroyed. You can attach this model to the above unit even if one chapter master, captain, or lieutenant model has already been attached to it. Maybe that you can't do that. I've never tried to do it. The lieutenant says you can attach this model to the above units even if one captain or chapter master has already been attached to it. It sounds like then you actually can't attach that Blade Guard Ancient to the Blade Guard, even though you can attach the captain and then you have to choose lieutenant or the Blade Guard Ancient. You can't attach all 3. I haven't done that, but thank you for pointing that out. If anyone has suggestions, please go to the Discord Angry Dwarf list and add it to the notes. Yeah, if you've got any other questions, Zacharis, just DM me as well and ask me, did that make sense? Hopefully it made sense on what I was saying. It sounds like you can't do 3 units to a model, to a squad. I've never actually tried, but it sounds like you can't do it. So, small semantic thing here. Redeemer with aggressors in it sounds pretty cool. Land Raider with, I guess, 6 Blade Guard, a captain, lieutenant, could be pretty cool. Eliminators up high with a tactical war suit to guard them. The thing is, I know the tactical war suit gets to shoot if someone targets your eliminators, but I think any sensible player just won't shoot at them. So I don't really see the value in tactical war suits. On Strength 9, like I said before, Strength 9 is a really awkward number. Like, Strength 9 is just not a good... It's just not... Like, Strength 8 and 9 are just not good anymore. Or they're not... Yeah, it's hard to say, but it's like, if you have Strength 9 stuff, you can't shoot it at armor. I mean, you can, but you just have to always expect it to not do a lot of damage. And it's one of the reasons that, like, I think that in my list I'm dropping the Repulsor and replacing it with a Repulsor Executioner. Because, like, when you've got more, like, the regular Repulsor has a shitload of bolter fire, but half the time you end up firing bolters against, like, toughness 8 stuff, and you need a wound on 6s, and you're like, this is rubbish. It just don't do any damage. So the Reziel said that the Phobos tactical warsuit thing is cute, and I kind of agree. Hellblasters being teleported makes sense. Eradicators being teleported potentially makes sense. I do like heavy intercessors a lot for teleportation. I think that's very, very strong. You can put them on objectives, you can score points. I do also like having Librarian Dreadnought in there to just open up teleports for the aggressors and stuff like that. I think that's very good as well. I feel like this list reminds me of myself before I went to the tournament. He could probably drop that Blade Guard Ancient and replace it with a Scout squad or some other squad that can do some scoring. I feel like that would be good. And potentially, if there's one other thing to drop, like one squad of Eradicators or something, and bring a Calidus Assassin or bring someone else that is a lone operative that can move around and, again, can score, that might actually improve this as well. This list, to me, feels like the list I took to a tournament. It's very designed at killing things, which is fine. You need to kill things to win games, right? But you also need to have shit that can just score shenanigans points to win games, and Scouts are super good at that. Inquisitorial Henchmen, sorry, not Imperial Henchmen. They're really good at that. Voidsmen at Arms are really good at that, like 40, 50 point units that can fit into small spaces. The thing about Scouts is they can come on and off the board every turn. It's really good. Inceptors, Reziel says, is really good as well, yeah. I get a Ball Predator is cool. I like that. I ran 2 squads of Eradicators at the tournament I was just at. And in the game against Knights, it was super useful. But then in some of the games, it was kind of much less useful. Against the Imperial Guard Horde army, Eradicators were just rubbish. Yeah, I mean, I was looking for I could have said a much nastier adjective than rubbish, that's for sure. So, I think I think the first thing I thought after that event was like 2 squads of Eradicators is too much. So probably, if this was me, I'd probably lose a squad of Eradicators, I'd probably lose the Tactical Warsuit. I'd probably lose the Blade Guard Ancient. I'd probably add a squad of Scouts. I'm trying to think how many points that is. Let me see. 140 plus 95, that's 235 plus. So I've got 280 points. So add a squad of Scouts means I've got like 225 left. Add a squad of Inceptors. So I've got I've got like 115 left, and then I add a squad of Heavy Intercessors. So now I've got those super durable Heavy Intercessors. I can just jump around. I've got the Inceptors that can drop down 3 inches away, potentially steal an objective. Or if you take both or Inceptors and you do the math, if the enemy's playing like assassins, like a Calidus assassin, both or Inceptors, 3 of them have a 91% chance of killing that Calidus assassin if they just drop down and gunner down. So if the enemy have a Calidus assassin to mess with your CP, to score them points, to do teleport homers, you can drop down the Inceptors and just kill her in one turn 90%, more than 90% of the time that they'll kill her, statistically, I guess. Because they're getting like 9 twin-linked shots with sustain 2, and she only needs to fail 2 saves on 4 up to die, right? She's only got 4 wounds, I think. So that's probably what I do. And I've if you watch any of my games, Heavy Intercessors are amazing. Heavy Intercessors are very, very good at holding the backfield, and once the backfield is safe, you teleport them anywhere you need to be on the board, and they hold objectives like there's no tomorrow. They're very, very durable, both in and out of indirect fire. Kevin says I've become reliant on redeploy and Scepter trick to score secondaries. They're just too good. Yes, exactly. And I didn't use them all that much at this tournament I was just at, where I scored like 415 battle points. So if I'd been using them, I'd probably score like 430. So this is a pretty decent list, I guess. I haven't run the Redeemer myself, but I think that the Redeemer is a very, very strong vehicle. I'd just be ready to spend some Armor of Contempt points on both Land Raiders, keep them alive as much as possible, use the Land Raiders, or what's coming out of the Land Raiders and the aggressors, to kill the things that will kill the Land Raiders, if that makes sense. And then at the end of the game, if you've still got 2 reasonably healthy Land Raiders on the board, they will just mop shit up all turn long, and your opponent won't be able to deal with them. And that happened in a couple of my event games where it's just like I've got Vindicator tanks and repulsors left on the board, and he's got nothing that can really threaten those easily anymore. So yeah, people have been saying the Redeemer is one of the best units in the game. I actually would like to try like a double Redeemer list with a Thunderstrike. How much do you think Aggressors and Inceptors will go up? I don't think Inceptors will go up at all because they can fluff. I don't know if they'll put Aggressors up again, will they? They already put them up like 20 points. I think last... And Space Marines don't have a good win rate at the moment, Miles. You're just trolling at this point, Miles. You're playing like bonkers. How much points will Death Company of Krieg go up? Because they're absolutely bonkers. Getting a whole squad of 20 back for 1 CP every turn. Brian, it is indeed too late for tonight. We'll try and get you on the show next week. You probably need to submit your list about a week in advance to be on the show. We do 4 lists every Sunday. And you can see here that people... This one was sent to me 6 days ago, so people send them sort of after the show in preparation for the next week. I think Aggressors will go up based on their usage. The unit's already... So to make that unit good, you need 220 points of Aggressors, plus you need the 85 points from the... Or is it I think it's 85 points from the Fire Discipline guy, so you're at 305 points. Then you probably need the Gravis Captain as well, who... I feel like a Gravis Captain's probably like 70 points. Captain in Gravis Armor, or Gravis Captain, what is it? Captain in Gravis? He is 80 points. So that unit's 385 points. I don't think it needs to go up more in points. I think it's pretty expensive. We'll see, I guess. Okay, Chronosing is the next list. This is the third list for tonight. Okay, Chronosing was in the chat. I was actually wanting to know, right? If you spent 385 points on Death Company and they all had Power Fists, right? Would Death Company with all Power Fists do more damage than the 385 points on Aggressors? Because I think if you spend 385 points on Death Company, you can have a 10-man Death Company with a Chaplain with +1 to wound. Or you could, yeah, with +1 to wound built in. So you could have like 30 Power Fists, so that's potentially maximum of 60 damage. So I don't think Aggressors are... I don't think Aggressors need to go up in points. I could be wrong. I guess we'll see. Are Space Marines over 50% win rate at the moment? Because that was... I guess we'll see in the next Meta Watch article. I can't remember what rating that they gave Space Marines. Were they over 50% win rate? They're being... Essentially, Space Marines are being carried a little bit by Aggressors, I feel like. Okay, Chronosing's list. My librarian... Let's read the list and let's read what his comments are. Right. So we got the Apothecary with... Oh, this is Firestorm. Shit, I'm going to have to get my codex out. Hold on. Right. Oh, this is the fucking rulebook. God damn it. I haven't played Firestorm yet. Firestorm. Forged in battle. So this is an apothecary biologist with... While the bearer is leading unit, once per turn after making a hit roll or saving throw for this model, you can change the result of the roll to a 6. I think that's very good for saving throw. Not so sure about hit roll, but for saving throw I think it's awesome. Captain in Gravis Armor. Captain with the jump pack with War Tempered Artifice. War Tempered Artifices adds 3 to the strength, so he has a strength 11 Power Fist. Lamartez, and a lieutenant with the combi weapon. Okay. So you've got the 6 aggressors, ideally attached to the apothecary, probably also attached to the Gravis captain, so you can give free strat every turn. Assault intercessors with jump packs, 5 of them, couple of plasma pistols, power fists, mostly chainswords, 10 Death Company, 10 plasma pistols, 10 power fists, 3 eradicators, a lancer, a redeemer, a librarian dreadnought, scouts, and a vindicator. Pretty cool list actually, yeah. So he's got the couple anti-armor pieces in the Vindicator and the Lancer, the Redeemer with the anti-Overwatch Flamer, the Librarian Dreadnought for the teleport, the 2 squads of scouts for scoring, Eradicators for the teleport, 10 Death Company with Lamartez, Aggressors with the Captain and Apothecary for buffs, and then 5 Jump Assault guys, probably with this other Captain, just for a little bit of damage, moving around, etc, etc. Johnny says, thanks for that. I will take the advice on board. Johnny, was your list? Was that your list last? Hopefully. Cool. Sorry, it's sometimes hard for me to keep up with the chat when I'm reading all this stuff. What did I miss? Sorry, Firestorm Detachment. So we get +1 to strength of all weapons. When unit is made, excuse me. Range weapons equipped by Adeptus Astartes have the assault ability, and when such weapons are within 12, you add 1 to the strength. Okay, so when you do teleport, so your aggressors in this list have strength 5, and this is flamer aggressors, not bolter aggressors. So strength 5 flamer aggressors. They can auto a save on 6s. The strength 11 power fist guy. The Death Company with jump packs with all the plasma pistols. You know, if you're going full on Firestorm, you could almost put 10 hand flamers for that Death Company unit. You know that? Because all those hand flamers can get like devastating wounds for 1 CP. Sorry, 2 CP. torrent weapons made by this unit have devastating wounds. So you'd have 10d6 devastating wounds potentially if it was hand flamers. Plasma pistols are fine for Death Company though. What did you say about this list? My Librarian Dreadnought is back for endless shenanigans. Aggressors with the captain to get dev wound flamers for 0 CP. Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So your flamers have 0 CP dev wounds. The DC with Lamartes for a big durable bonk squad, and there is a way to give get +1 to the wound roll in this detachment, and it's 1 CP. It's called Crucible of Battle. In the shooting or the fight phase, until the end of the phase, each time model makes an attack to the closest eligible target. Well, if it's the fight phase, you would be attacking the closest eligible target. Add 1 to the wound roll. So Lamartes with the durable bonk squad, the Eradicators with the Apothecary Biologist, giving them lethal, and the enhancement lets me auto 6 a hit or save roll every turn. Alright, so the Apothecary Biologist is with Eradicators. But just 3 of them. But then I guess you auto a hit if you need to, and obviously because it's lethal hits, it's an auto wound. The Land Raider Redeemer transports the aggressors and acts like a massive Overwatch threat in the middle, with the Vindicator and Lancer being the main anti-tank threats. The Scouts are MVPs for scoring, they're insanely good. The Captain with a Strength 12 Power Fist. Oh yeah, it's Strength 12 because he gets +1 because he's attached to the squad as well. Jumps around wherever needed, leading the jump intercessors. I never even thought about that actually. So the Captain can get a Strength 12 Power Fist in this detachment. Interesting. Previously I thought the best you could get was Strength 11, but no, I guess on this one, because it gives +3 and a Power Fist is 8, and then let me just read what the Jump Captain gets. I'm sure it says something like, while he's leading a unit, models in this unit get +1 to their strength. It says... Fucking 5 pages of captains. While this model is leading unit, each time the model ends a charge move until the end of the turn, add 1 to the strength characteristic. So yeah, you've got Strength 12 Power Fist. Interesting. Why would you not... I was going to say, why would you not take a Thunderhammer? But I guess there's no real advantage over the Thunderhammer in that all you get is dev wounds, and to get the dev wounds you have to lose 1 on your weapon skill. I really think Thunderhammers should have stayed at 3 damage, man. They just seem a bit rubbish. Like, it made sense before to lose 1 on your weapon skill because the Thunderhammers had 1 extra damage. It seemed like a good trade-off. But now it just seems like a rubbish trade-off. It's like, what, for that one time that you will... Like, you only get 5 attacks. So 5 attacks hitting on 2s versus 5 attacks hitting on 3s. Well, we've all played 40k. We know if we've got 5 attacks hitting on 2s, we probably miss once. And we know if we've got 5 attacks hitting on 3s, we probably miss like 3 fucking times. So then you only have 2 wound rolls, so you only get 1/6 at the best of times anyway. So any devastating wounds you would get are countered by the fact that you end up missing way more often, right? Thunderhammers just seem garbage. Really sad, because everybody's got all their guys modelled with Thunderhammers, of course, right? I kind of like this attachment. I think there's a lot to go on here. What's the weakness? Is there a weakness in this detachment? You know, and I guess this comes back to Miles' point about, like, should aggressors go up in points? Well, I don't think aggressors should go up in points because, like, you hurt this detachment's Flamestorm stuff and he's not even doing the bolter stuff. In some ways, he actually got penalised. Like, the aggressor flamers went up 20 points because the bolter aggressors were so good. That's the problem with this fixed points cost nonsense, right? It's like, oh, well, these guys have 2 weapons options and one of the weapons options is doing really well. So by proxy, we've just destroyed this other build without even really meaning to, just because that's the way fixed points costs work. I like everything about this attachment, I think. You could teleport just a bunch of units around. 1 Lancer, 1 Vindicator, Librarian Dreadnought, double Scouts. I mean, about the only thing that you could do maybe better would be to, like, have a Calidus Assassin or something. But I mean, it feels like it's got a good mix of killing and a good mix of actions. The aggressors with the sustained and lethals and 5 is the problem. Exactly, Miles, exactly. And because of that, they essentially this detachment had the 20-point tax put on it because of that, you know, it's going to be very hard, like when there's 7 detachments in the Space Marine book, and then there's arguably going to be, I don't know, like a few detachments in the Death Watch book or the Dark Angels book, so it's going to be like the fixed points costs are going to have so many problems when things start kicking around. Rizzo would drop the jump captain. I mean, I actually kind of like him with the idea that he has a strength 12 power fist. But maybe 5 attacks at strength 12 isn't enough. I mean, I think if you, like, one of the things that I struggled with was, like, Beasts of Nurgle, for example. Like, they're, like, toughness 9 and I had nothing that was good against them. Well, like, remember, the captain will be able to use the stratagem here for free so that jump intercessor unit with him can get +1 to wound. So you've got strength 12 with +1 to wound on that captain. So arguably, you could probably wound most things on 2s. So hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s. I actually kind of like him, I think. He's the best sort of melee character we can get now. I know it's a lot worse than it was in previous edition. Is the captain better than 3 more Eradicators in the Eradicator squad with full rerolls? Probably not. Probably not. Especially if you're going to teleport that squad around DTM. And especially that squad with full rerolls has lethal hits as well on 6s, right? And because... I was going to say, is there any other strat that you can use to buff that Eradicator squad? No, I don't think so. Because you wouldn't be teleporting within 6. If you did manage to move within 6, you could get +1 to wound on that Eradicator squad, but you wouldn't be teleporting within 6. Yeah, I guess when you talk about that like that, he's probably not better. But I guess if it feels like it gives you more pressure around the map, then potentially it is better. It's kind of like how I've been playing the Chaplain with 5 Death Company, right? Which is like 205 points, I think. But like you could argue, is the Chaplain in 5 Death Company better than more Eradicators? Probably not, but it gives me another threat that I can move around the board. So maybe it could be a bit about that. It could be you've got that extra threat somewhere else in the board and you think that's worth it. 8 times strength 10 melta shots from one unit of 6 with auto 6s and lethals. Yeah, I suppose those meltas are strength 10 as well. I never even thought about that. Because you're teleporting at 9 inches away, yes, probably. You could probably swap that out. I would agree with that. Lieutenant with a combi weapon, I suppose, as well. It's good for actions, kind of like the Khaled's Assassin. Yeah, you know, if you drop that added Eradicators, you're only like 5 points away from the Khaled's Assassin. Super close, eh? I like this list. I need to know, Chrono's saying, how many games you've played with it and what his win rate is. Tell me in Discord or something. But this one does actually seem... This seems like one of the best Firestorm lists I've seen. I've not played Firestorm myself yet, but this does seem like it would be a decent option, and it feels like the stratagems complement it. But I am leading towards going. I'm leading towards going for more Eradicators here and not that jump captain. Which is funny because I just got rid of those Eradicators out of my list. I guess the difference here is that they're strength 10. Okay, that's it then. Final list for today. And this is Gladius. So it still seems like most people are playing Gladius. What was this? 2 Gladius, a Firestorm, and a Vanguard. These are the detachments that people are playing. I think we've maybe reviewed 1 Ironstorm detachment. And I was going to say, I don't think we've seen anybody submit detachments for Stormlance. We've done a couple of Vanguard. We've done 1 Ironstorm. We haven't seen anyone do the Anvil Siege Force. I guess the thing that people worry about the Anvil Siege Force is it's very static. Gravis Captains are the best. He has 10 points left over, so we're replacing the captain with 3 eradicators. I think he just make it a Gravis captain strength 11 instead. Oh, that's true. Strength 11, I like the Gravis captain melee. I've used him a bunch of times now. I think it's pretty decent. Obviously, because I've been running Gladius at tournaments and stuff, I've used it probably, yeah, like an absolute bunch of times. I've used that Gravis captain now, and he usually does quite a bit of work in the melee combat phase as well as the shooting phase, right? Anvil is fun, but I can't say it's amazing. Yeah, I don't think anyone's really playing Anvil. Yeah, submit me an Anvil list if you've got one or you've run it. So this list is called the Sanguinary Whelp. It's got a captain, it's got a chaplain on a bike. We haven't seen the chaplain on a bike, which Gravis captain? I use the one with the fist and the Boltstorm gauntlet. And for a second weapon, I give him the sword. I was going to say, is it a relic blade? It's the same sort of sword the Blade Guard have. So it's like a strength 5 minus 2 damage. Okay, we've got the chaplain on the bike, we've Librarian and Terminator armor, we have 2 squads of assault intercessors, we have a Bile Predator, we have 3 Blade Guard, we have 10 Infernal Pistol Power Fist Death Company. I was going to say, who are they attached to? They need to be attached to someone. I don't know if they work without being attached to someone, because they can't fall back, and they don't have any OC without being attached. I don't think he's got anyone that they can attach to here, so I guess we'll have to come back. Do you know what? I've got a bugbear about that, though, right? See, in the World Eaters Codex, 8 bound... Is it 8 bound or is it Exalted 8 bound? I think it's Exalted 8 bound. Exalted 8 bound are allowed to join a Juggernaut of Khorne, right? So like an Exalted 8 bound moves... I'm just gonna bring up the Juggernaut profile, because... You know, like, Blood Angels aren't allowed to attach, let's say... We aren't allowed to attach Death Company, for example, to a Chaplain on a bike. I mean, it would make sense. Chaplain on a bike moves 14, Death Company move 12. Like, you know, why can't they attach? Whereas, like, World Eaters... Where's the guy on the Juggernaut? World Eater's Lord on a Juggernaut. He can be attached to 8 bound, Exalted 8 bound, and Khorne Berserkers, all which have much less than his 10-inch move. So why can a Juggernaut on Khorne lead all this shit, but our chaplain in the Space Marine Codex on a bike can't lead shit? Like, chaplain on a bike can lead Outriders. That's it. Sorry, no one plays Outriders. Like, come on, guys. Like, how is this fair? He could just take his foot off the... Actually, they even move the same distance. I thought the chaplain on a bike maybe even used to move 14. Maybe he did. But, I mean, they move the same fucking distance, whereas these guys don't move the same distance. I mean, 8 bound move like 8. I was going to say, of course they move 8. They're called 8 bound. No, they move 9. Berserkers don't move anything like that. They surely move 6 or something. Yeah. So they've got their guys with 10-inch move can lead their guys with 6, but our guys with 12-inch move can't lead our guys with 12-inch move. Why, GW? Why you hate us? Okay. Eliminators, a Furioso Dreadnought. I haven't seen one of these. I haven't seen one of these on a competitive list. Incursor, sorry. A Librarian Dreadnought. We have got the Outriders, a Predator Destructor, a Redemptor Dreadnought, and a Terminator Squad. Okay, this is this list feels like it needs refining, because there's definitely units in here that I would say are less than competitive or not competitive at all. What does a bike chaplain offer that a jump chaplain doesn't? Well, not much, except he's on a bike and he's cool and he's the new model, I guess. And people like to run the new models, and people all bought those new models because they're really good last edition. Calgar wants to attach something to Assault Centurions. Yeah, so does everybody. Lucky Laugh says, John, you're the best. Thank you so much. Always do appreciate the nice comments. If you haven't left a like yet on tonight's stream, please do that. It's because the World Eaters Codex is incomplete as fuck, says Miguel, and is held together with bubblegum and sticky tape. Yeah, but it's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum, but we're all out of gum, huh? It's because the World Eater Codex doesn't have a full range of models, so GW would be a bit more liberal what they can attach to. Well, I tell you, here's the thing about being liberal. You can be liberal, or you can just be tight, like the chaplain. The chaplain on a bike does not... He's a great model. He's cool. He's new. There's nothing good for him to attach to. I don't see any use of Outriders. None whatsoever. Like... I want to like Outriders. I remember when 8th edition came out, I got these guys, I made all the models, I was painting them Death Company, I was super excited about them, I played them in a few games, and they just got wrecked, and they did nothing. And I was like, why? Why? I've done comparisons to Vanguard Veterans, I've done comparisons to all other manner of things, and Outriders are just... They're just a unit that missed the mark. Same as Reavers are a unit that missed the mark. So if we've got units that no one's playing that have missed the mark, could they not get? Like, why are Reavers even in the Codex? Why are Suppressors even in the Codex? You know, like, these units that nobody plays, it's not because... It's because the unit is bad, right? I'd love to make Suppressors work. Outriders need 2 changes, Assault and Heavy on their bolters and a Scout move. I mean, it would help. It would help. Okay. Rant over about friggin' Juggernauts leading 8-bound. What the hell? Right, this list feels like a mishmash a little bit. Let me see what he said about it. He said, how goes, Commander? I'm a filthy American, but I'm still a massive fan of your channel and tactics videos. I've been working on this list for a bit. So here's... Oh, shoot. Here's what I finally scrounged up with my mid-tier units. Yeah, these are mid-tier units. I'm glad you're admitting it. I don't know why you're saying filthy American, because I actually kind of love America. If I could afford to go on holiday to America every year, I would go there, because my dad used to have a house in America, and we used to go there like every summer for like a decade. So I kind of love America, and I don't think I've ever called Americans filthy in any way, shape, or form, so I don't know if this is like an in-joke, but I don't get it. The Librarian goes to the Terminators, the Chaplain goes to the Outriders, the Captain goes to the Blade Guard. Okay, so yeah, 100% you need something that comes with the Death Company. Like, they need a leader. And I guess their only choices really are Lamartes or a Chaplain with a jump back, right? So you need to do that. Lamartes seems like the safer choice at the moment, because we're still trying to get the Chaplain with a jump pack FAQ'd. I put the Death Company Marines and the Outriders in reserve to come in from turn 2 or 3, as well as some decent shooting. I guess as long as the Death Company are staying close to the Chaplain on a bike, that would be okay, but I feel like it's better to just have a Chaplain in the squad. The Furioso Dreadnought is equipped with the Magna Grapple instead of the smoke launchers to make that 9-inch charge actually possible with a +2 against a monster vehicle. Yeah, I mean, that's cool, but I think that if you are going to do that, I feel like... Yeah, okay, maybe that's okay. Yeah. I do think the Death Company Dreadnought might be better, but I guess it's 20 points more. Incursors are some decent action monkeys for later turns as well, and a great candidate to sit in no man's land objective and give out +1 to range attacks. Yes, that is true. I'm not sure I feel much love for Assault Intercessors, though, at the moment. Like, I played these guys all the time in 9th edition, I just don't play them at all in 10th. I think you're better with heavy intercessors or infiltrators or maybe more incursors. I don't know. Regular intercessors as well with the sticky objectives I feel is better too. Assault intercessors are a bit hit or miss for me in 10th edition. Night Rider squad with the fire discipline attachment attached to the Chaplain is surprisingly good with the twin-linked rifles, as his dev wounds he gives out as long as they're within 12 inches. I hadn't even noticed that he'd given fire discipline to the Chaplain. I don't think it's enough weight of fire, honestly. Like, if you look at everybody else that's using fire discipline, I did a video on fire discipline like a month ago. I talked about using assault. Sorry, fire discipline on aggressors or hellblasters, I think, are the best units for it. I mean, I guess it gives you something on the Outriders, but obviously it's not as good as Aggressors, but for a poor man, it's not bad at all. They also go into reinforcements and come onto outside objectives. Hopefully they'll get higher toughness, will survive what they've shot some wounds into. Not to mention their melee can be pretty nasty. I mean, their melee's great against, like, infantry, but against any sort of elite infantry or vehicles, I think it falls pretty dead. Their firepower falls pretty dead against that as well. Might either sit the Librarian Dreadnought, Battle Predator on my home objective, depending on the matchup. I feel like the Librarian Dreadnought probably sitting on the home objective, teleporting things around for a couple of turns and then moving out. And that's why I like regular intercessors over assault intercessors, because once the regular intercessors have been on that home objective for a turn, it's sticky. So near the end of the game, everybody can move out. Lastly, my armor units mount on the board and hopefully tanks some shots while dishing out some of their own, lessening up the horde, set up for later game. That's it. Let me know what you think. So, what was the armor units? The Redemptor Dreadnought I think is okay. The Predator Destructor I think is actually pretty good for the price. The Furioso coming in reserve is okay. The Battle Predator is pretty good, but yeah, maybe... and I don't like the Terminators, because I don't really know what role Terminators fit at the moment. Like, they're a survival unit, but they don't do damage. The entire bike package for Marines is a disaster, says Calgar. That's probably pretty accurate. Some Americans have a complex where they feel they need to be self-deprecating with Europeans, says Kevin. I never even knew that, Kevin. I was going to say because why? Because you declared independence from us. I live in Scotland. If we could declare independence from England by ourselves without needing their authority, we would have done that. We can't friggin' do it though. So I wouldn't be self-deprecating. I would be like, you know, it's like that quote from Trainspotting. It was like, we were colonized by bastards or whatever. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Politics and all the world's gone insane anyway. The whole world is messed up at the moment. I can't. The thing I most worry about with the world is in like 20 years time, the price of things is going to cost like $5 for a friggin' Pepsi. Like, my wife was telling me the other day, she's like, Pepsi is like doubled in price in the last 2 years. It used to be like $1 for a bottle, now it's $2. I was like, yeah, the world's gone mental. Like, at what point is like Pepsi going to cost like a $5? I mean, we call £5 a fiver, which in dollars is probably about $7 or $8, maybe $7, because the exchange rate's pretty bad at the moment. But so like, you know, like at what point does a Pepsi just cost $10? You walk into a store and be like, one Pepsi, please. They're like $10. You're going to be like, the world is insane. Honestly, it is absolutely insane. So yes, I wouldn't worry about being self-deprecating. I just think the whole world is energy, everything. It's a mess. And the general person can't do anything about it, right? You can vote for your different political parties. It doesn't really make any difference in the end. What a rant we're on. Let me get back to this list. Captain with 3 Blade Guard. I feel like if you're attaching a character to a unit, you want to get more value, and I'm not sure a captain to attach to 3 Blade Guard gives enough value. A captain without a jump pack. What's his Oh, he can do like that sort of extra attacks, devastating wounds shenanigans. I don't really run a captain without a jump pack. Captain, once per battle, he can use the free, and then yeah, so he gets 3 attacks once per game with devastating wounds. I'm not sure I feel like that's that good. I also definitely don't think a chaplain with Outriders is very good. And I get the Librarian with the Terminators is a cool idea because it gives the Terminators like a 4-up invuln, right? Again, I don't really run the Librarian in Terminator armor. Not many people do, I feel like. It gives 4-up field opening against Psychic, and the models have sustained hits 1. You know, on paper, sustained hits 1 on Terminators probably sounds pretty good, but in reality, I feel like these Terminators don't do any damage. Yeah, so at what point do you walk into a store, Rezio, to buy a Pepsi and they say to you like $6, $8? At what point does it become crazy, right? Like, because over here in the UK, we feel like it's starting to get pretty crazy. You know, like, yeah, it's just crazy. I do like the Predator Destructor. I feel like I want to try out Redemptors a little bit. I think they could be pretty useful. Obviously, our Brain Dreadnought's really good. I do rate Incursors for giving +1 to wound. I do like Dreadnoughts that have the 2 inches to the charge. I do like that for reserving them. A single squad of Eliminators I always feel is not worth it because they don't kill. One squad is not enough to kill stuff. You probably need 2 squads. I feel like the Death Company need to be attached to somebody. The Ball Predator with the Flamestorm and Heavy Bolter and the Hunter Killer is pretty fine. Regular Assault Intercessors, don't really rate them at the moment. I feel like Intercessors with sticky objectives or Heavy Intercessors are better, or just some different points here. It does feel a little bit like a mishmash list of what you have. So if this is what you have, then I think the things that you need to add to this list to make it better, or to add to your repertoire to make it better. We obviously, a lot of people playing Land Raider Redeemers, they're good. Regular Land Raider's good. Repulsor/Repulsor Executioner is good. Gladiator Lancer is good. Ballistus Dreadnought is good. These are all really good anti-tank solutions. I think you do want some dedicated anti-tank long-range firepower in your list, which I guess a Predator Annihilator could do that, but I feel like what you've got there is probably not enough. Think about las cannons. Las cannons are very good at the moment. And then I feel like for... I mean, if you're going to run 10 Death Company, run them over the Martas. If you're going to run 2 5s, add chaplains to them. Brian says, I went to local cafe and paid €18 for a coffee and a sandwich and a water. Not a fancy coffee or a water. Energy prices are wild. Yes, it's the world has gone mad, Brian. You're right. Yes, absolute mentalist. Yeah, this is why I never I used to go to Starbucks. I want to say every day, like 10 years ago, and I just stopped going. Because I figured out this is 10 years ago. I was like, I'm spending like $1,000 a year on Starbucks. I just need to stop that and save that money. And if you do that for 10 years, that's £10,000 you've saved. So yeah, I probably last went to... I still go to Starbucks like once a year. If I'm I'm out somewhere on holiday or something and I can't make my own coffee. But like for going to work and stuff, like I always make my own coffee, always make my own coffee at home and stuff like that. It's madness. It's honestly mad. You need to get Chapter Master Valrak Waitrose Water. What the fuck is Chapter Master Valrak Waitrose Water? I don't know what that is. You need a chaplain with the jump pack Lamarta's model if he doesn't already have one, since he seems to have a lot of Death Company. Yet, I mean, you can use the chaplain on a bike if he was within 12 inches of the Death Company to give them OC and fall back, but I think that's hard to do in reality. Instead of paying for a cup of coffee, I subscribe to Blood Angels Commander. Andonius, you're a legend, man. Thank you so much. Yes. And well, you'll be glad to know that I don't spend your money on overpriced coffee because I'm not an idiot. And I buy a jar of coffee for like $1.99 and it lasts me a month because I think it's insanity. As much as it's a boomer cliche, cutting the Starbucks really did save me money. Yeah, it saved me for a house deposit, Kevin. Honestly, like I used to have lunch in town. My office is in town, so I used to have coffee from in town every day, and I used to have lunch in town every day, and that was probably costing me like £5 a day, 250 work days in a year, so it's like £1,200 a year. I just stopped it for like 8 years. That's £10,000 I saved on making my own sandwiches. It's not that hard to butter a slice of bread and put some coffee granules in a cup, is it? Right? Spend it over overpriced plastic instead. Yeah. I mean, that's different though. And you know how slow I am, DTM, at painting stuff. I get a lot of value out of my overpriced plastic. Because like $50 of plastic can last me like 6 months. You know how slow I am at painting. Eternal Crusader says Aldi's iced coffee sausage 8 for £1.10. There you go. Exactly. The last Blood Angels list I ran had 10 Death Company, Power Fist, Infernal Pistols, Lamartas, and 2 5 solo with hammers honestly crushed. I'm surprised the hammers did so well, man. I just don't rate Thunder Hammers anymore. I think Power Fists are just better. Brew and Biscuits created a good anvil list. We'll get it on the show next week. Perfect, guys. So I'm going to wrap up for this week's show here in a second. If this was my list, I would drop this captain, I would add Lamartez, I would probably drop the assault intercessors and add regular intercessors, probably drop these assault intercessors, had heavy intercessors, probably drop the eliminators, probably drop the outriders, probably drop that chaplain on a bike, probably drop the terminators. I would add something like a land raider or deemer, or a regular land raider, or a pulsar executioner. If it's Gladius, this is Gladius, right? So I'll probably add aggressors and the apothecary biologists. Or the other thing that I tried this week that was insanely good this week, if you watch my battle report on Wednesday night, Devastator Centurions. If you've not tried Devastator Centurions, they're legitly pretty scary now. I think they're even better for Blood Angels as well, because of obviously the teleporting shenanigans that we get that nobody else gets. Let me bring up their profile just to finish the stream. I think you run them in a squad of 3, because then they're completely impervious to blast. I started my game with them on the highest building in my deployment zone, because I got really good range, 36 inches on these missile launchers. Each guy gets D3 missile, strength 9 minus 2 D3 blast. So it's really good. And then they get twin las cannon, one las cannon each. Strength 12 minus 3, and it's twin linked. Each time this model makes an attack, reroll hits of 1. If the target of that attack is within an objective marker, you can reroll hits as well. So you basically got 3 las cannons, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. If they're on the objective, hitting on 3s, rerolling everything. And then you've got an average of 6 strength 9 minus 2 D3 missiles, again hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, or 3s, rerolling everything. These are blast. So when I played against Colin, I actually shot a squad of 6 Death Shroud Terminators, and I killed like 5 of them. 1 round of shooting from these guys. Maybe it wasn't 5, maybe it was 4. But it was only 3 Centurions. I was really pleased with these guys. Started them on a high building so that they get plunging fire. Put 1 point of it so they're AP3 on the missiles, AP4 on the las cannons. Remember, you can play Storm of Fire on here to get another point of AP and ignore cover. I really like them. So if you've got Centurions, give them a try in Devastator Doctrine. And I think that's it. I think that is it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the new membership. If you do want to leave a list for next week, you know how to do that. Leave it in the YouTube comments. And I will see you guys probably Wednesday night. I think I'm playing Brett on a World Eaters game. And hopefully we'll have the first tier list video out this Friday for you guys to watch. I'm supposed to be filming that tomorrow night. So that is us. Any questions before I jump off? Let me put my codex away. Centurions do not ignore cover anymore. They used to. Now they just have this reroll hit thing built in. I think it's great, honestly. I'm going to try the Centurion Devastators a few more times. Alright guys, I'll see you Wednesday night. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me a list if you want to leave it. And I'll get you on the show next week. Have a great evening. Peace. I got this fancy new button now. Just before I press it, so you know what's actually happening, I can play an ad. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to press it. Some of you might see an ad, some of you won't, but that's it. That's the end of the show. Good night.